it's been very busy spring and early part of the summer as we're working on what we're going to do for this fall. So I know everybody's been working hard, and I appreciate everybody's hard work, but please feel free to, whatever questions you have today, bring them up and we'll talk about what you want to talk about.
Okay. Kevin, first question, what can we do to support students ahead of August?
Well, right now, I think the main message is trying to get out to students that we will be open and that we will be providing education designed to better their lives, which is why we're here, and that we haven't lost sight of our mission to do that during the pandemic. And so I think telling our students that we are there to support them with whatever they need is the most important message right now. I think what we're hearing from the students when we've talked to them is they're not sure what it's going to be like, so they're holding off on registering or holding off on coming to school. I think ensuring them that we will have a college experience for them to come and get that education is the main thing we can do right now. And then after that, it's about flexibility, understanding that this fall's term is going to be very different than any other one we have had or any of us have experienced for us and for our students. And knowing that we're going to be flexible and support them is the main message that we can have right now.
Next up, Kevin, I appreciate the statement you made a couple of weeks ago about diversity and inclusion. What is the next step for ISU to foster an inclusive environment?
Well, as far as it goes in terms of our next step, we have to make sure that we have an environment where that is welcoming, that does foster diversity, that fosters open discussion of viewpoints, that makes everybody feel welcome. We cannot be in an environment where people feel these aggressions, microaggressions, and other items like that. Because when we have diversity, we become a better place, and making sure that we embrace that is critical. And I think we have to embrace the historical reasons for why we have the problems that we have, and talk about them and address them. And somebody told me once, if you're not uncomfortable talking about these things, then you might not be having the right conversations. These aren't supposed to be comfortable. They're supposed to get to the point of how we make our society better. So I think we continue to hold the right events on our campus to try to make sure that we embrace diversity in our culture and that we are a welcoming environment. And that's the main thing we have to do.
Great, thanks, Kevin. Next question. Do you have a sense of the likelihood that the cost programs/departments have been incurring related to COVID-19 will be reimbursed?
Well, the hard part about the entire budget situation is we're all experiencing a lot of costs. Is there going to be a direct reimbursement? It's hard to say. We are getting some of the federal stimulus money that's coming into the university designed to cover some of these costs. So we're keeping track of them. The state has asked us to track all of those direct costs because of our eligibility for some of that stimulus money. But the state's budget has become so tight right now, and their university budget has become so tight. I'm not sure that there will be a direct reimbursement. That's our hope, that we can cover these costs. But right now, I'm not sure that's really also our top priority. I think our top priority is every department of the campus coming together to deal with this pandemic, to keep all of our campus community safe. And if that means some departmental budgets have to cover some of these costs, I think that's okay. If we're all pulling together for the common good and doing the right thing. So as this moves forward and we see what the budget looks like, hopefully we'll be able to use that stimulus money to cover some of those costs. But right now it's too early to tell.
Okay. Next question, Kevin. Are in-person classes in the fall dependent upon state of Idaho being out of phase 4 of the staged reopening plan?
No, not right now. They're not. I mean, we all have to know that there's a possibility that depending on further community spread, that we could get an order from the state to move back to a phase where we couldn't do face-to-face classes. That's always a possibility. But right now, we are running all of our plans in terms of how we're doing this by the state, by the district health departments and the public health professionals. So we're pretty confident we have a plan that we can move forward with as Idaho currently is. So as long as things don't change for the negative and we get some further stay-home order or something like that, we're pretty confident we can do the face-to-face classes.
Thanks, Kevin. We're having some issues with streaming it to YouTube, so hopefully we'll get those sorted out before we lock the meeting. So we're working on that. Okay, next question. Can you please update us on the strategic planning process?
Yes, it's still moving forward. Right now we're in the middle of the SWOT V phase, but admittedly it has changed as we haven't been able to have all of the face-to-face meetings that we had. This might slip the timeline a bit as we move forward, but to me the timeline isn't as important as getting it right. The timeline isn't as important as our commitment to the transparency and taking input, so we'll make sure we do all of those things. But right now we are in the process where departments are supposed to be working on their strengths, weakness, opportunities, threats, and then we added V to the end of it for values. As we talk about a lot, we have to know why we do what we do, and knowing what our values are have to inform these decisions for our strategic plan. So coming up with the SWOT V for our areas is where we are right now. So we're in, I think that's stage 3 of the sort of 7-step process we have on the strategic plan. Is we're in the 3rd stage of that.
Okay. Next question. How long do we expect remote work assignments to continue?
I don't know if there is any one answer to that. Because I think what we've said is that when it comes to each office and department and unit, is that they need to come up with plans approved by their area vice president for how they are going to operate safely going forward to ensure social distancing, to ensure that we are doing it in a safe manner. So there may be some units that are able to not have any more remote work and some that will have to continue it for an indefinite period. We don't know when an end date is. The thing that I know is I'm not issuing an end date. I'm not saying by this date, those end, because I don't think that's fair. I think we have to make sure that each office and unit is handling that in the right manner. And so there may be some where, due to circumstances, whether it's related to the workplace or some of the needs of those offices, where it may have to continue longer. And so I don't think there is an end date.
Okay. Back to questions of diversity and the statement that ISU put out about Black Lives Matter. What is ISU actively doing to address the lack of diversity of traditionally marginalized peoples within faculty staff?
Well, hopefully we are continuing our process in our hiring in terms of how we do our hiring to help promote diversity, how we do our outreach and recruitment to students, and again, providing a welcoming environment. I think that we are taking steps in the right direction. I think the steps that we did last fall to celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day rather than Columbus Day was one step in the right direction. We have been talking with the Idaho Commission on Hispanic Affairs about doing a Hispanic Youth Leadership Summit on our campus. So these things, the conversations are starting. They're, I think, moving us in the right direction. But I think I would be open to other ideas and opportunities if people felt they were out there.
Okay. Question in the same general category. Thanks for the university statement about racial injustice and diversity. Some students have reached out to our individual department frustrated that our department did not make a separate statement. With summer here and many faculty away, it was felt that waiting until fall to address these issues at a department level was best, to have a more cohesive statement that represents the views of faculty and programs. Is there an explanation that departments make on their own statements now? Is there an expectation that departments make their own statements now?
I don't think so. Um, I think we issued a statement on behalf of the university, and I don't think that there's an expectation that individual departments need to make additional statements um, to that. I mean, we have a university that's made up of, hundreds of different parts, whether you broke it down by college or by academic unit or administrative unit. And it is not my expectation that every unit of the university has to issue a statement. I think the university has. I think we made the right statement. I think we're moving in the right direction. I don't think we should set an expectation that on every social issue, even one like that, is so critical and such an important social issue. I don't think there's an expectation that every department has to have a statement. In fact, going down that road, then you might get variances in those, when in reality, I think we can make a statement on behalf of the university.
Thanks, Kevin. Switching gears a little bit to Davis Field, could you give us an update, progress report, and timeline for completing Davis Field, and when we can visit there again?
Good question. Short answer is no. I can't really give you an update because I don't have those details at my fingertips. Last I heard, the project was on time, on budget, moving forward without hitting any snags in the construction path. So that's good. So if that's the case, then we're hoping for this fall. I think, if I recall right, shooting for November for completion of that project. But going back to what I said at the beginning, I don't have the details of that at my fingertips. But last I heard, things were going well. So I'm excited for that project for a lot of reasons. One of which is we didn't get to celebrate a groundbreaking ceremony because the groundbreaking was scheduled right when we got the stay-home order and things changed. I'm hoping very much that when it's done, we can do a proper dedication of the facility to dedicate to our students and our community and our future use. But we'll see what happens with that as it goes forward.
Great. Next question, related to furlough. ISU's furlough policy does not exempt grant-funded positions. Given the indirects generated, doesn't this policy reduce ISU's funding stream?
No, I don't think that's what happens. I think what happens in those situations is that most of the grant type funded things that or areas that we have, we can get no cost extensions to continue to utilize those funds. I think it's going to be the rare situation that we actually send any money back. So I don't think it does reduce our funding stream.
Okay. What would you like us to focus on as we approach a new normal, potentially for the fall?
I think if I had to pick one, maybe more than one is what we would need to do. If I had to pick one, it would be the recognition that we're all in this together and we all need to do the right thing together. And sometimes that might be asking us to do things that we might not want to do or might not be comfortable for us. But knowing that our mission as an institution has not changed at all. Our mission is to educate students, to help them better their lives through education. And everything that we're doing so that we can carry out that mission. Our mission isn't to set up social distancing. Our mission isn't to have a face mask requirement. But we do those things so that we can carry out our mission. All of those focus on we're trying to make sure we can continue educating our students. And if we can make sure we slow the spread and that we don't have continued outbreak, that helps us continue our mission. If we have an outbreak on campus and in our community, and because of that, things have to get shut down, then we might lose our ability to carry out our mission. We all want things to return to as normal as possible. We all want to be able to educate our students. So we do these other things so that we can carry out that core mission. And that's the main thing I want everybody to remember. We're all in this together for that mission. And so if we can keep that in mind as we move forward, then some of these inconveniences we face, some of these items we're going to be asked to do that aren't what we're used to, that they're different? The answer is yes, they will be different. And if we can pull together and remember we're in this together for that mission, then we will come through it together.
Thanks, Kevin. Next question, what will be the expectation for face coverings this fall, and does that include students?
Okay, yes, that includes students. And the expectation will be that face coverings will be expected of faculty, staff, and students. We will set a requirement, whether you want to call it a requirement or an expectation. We will be having an expectation that everyone will wear masks. Now, Admin Council is working right now with HR to develop a set of protocols to support all of our managers and all of our employees as we implement this expectation. And soon we're going to be having more communication coming out. We'll share it with the whole campus about how this will work. But we will be asking all ISU employees and students to do the right thing for your own health and for the health of everyone around you in the community, and wear the face covering. I understand when people say, but I'm not sick, why should I wear it? It's about protecting not just you, but everyone around you. And if everyone does it, that's the best protection we have. The Centers for Disease Control has made that clear. They are the experts. And our expectation of doing this will benefit all of us. So soon, we'll be having some guidance rolling out to help the managers make the decisions, help how this will be implemented, and so we can do that going forward.
Next question, back to diversity topic. How is ISU promoting diversity in the Administrative Council and Leadership Council members and the hires?
Well, we are, in our new hiring, I think we are doing everything we can in terms of where we advertise for positions, how we interview positions, the reason you do searches for positions is so that you can make sure that we have an opportunity to hire people from diverse backgrounds into those positions. That's why it's best that we don't just hand-pick people or pick one person for jobs, that we do these searches. So that's how we're trying to build diversity. In terms of on Leadership Council and Admin Council, those groups are made up by the people who serve in those positions. And I think we've tried to have a broad group on each of those in terms of not, having the university leadership in a smaller group, but a broader group. So we're trying to do that. I won't, look at anyone and tell them we're perfect at it or that we've got it all figured out. But I will tell anyone we are trying to get better and that we are trying to expand our hiring pools. We also, unfortunately, in some cases, we can't control who applies for the positions that we have open. But we're trying to reach out and get applicants for positions. So I think we're trying and we're getting better. But I won't defend anything that we're perfect, because we're not. But we're working.
Thanks, Kevin. Next question involves the hiring freeze. Have decisions been made for all open positions that were put on hold during the hiring freeze, either sent forward to the state for consideration or held still on hold for the foreseeable future?
Okay, as I understand that question, it's what are we doing with all the positions that are currently open? Many of them are on hold. Some of them have moved forward to the state for approval to hire, but I don't have the numbers. I don't know if, Brian, you have any of those numbers, but it's not all the positions. Right now, the positions are on hold for a reason. They're on hold because we have budget realities, and we don't know if there will be more holdbacks or budget cuts handed down from the state going forward. So the state has implemented this hiring freeze. We implemented ours first, and then shortly thereafter, the state followed up with a statewide hiring freeze. So many positions are still on hold. A few have been moved forward depending on the circumstance. And every time we move a position forward, every single hiring of a vacant position right now has to be justified to the state. So we have to go to them and say, and justify why we need the position, why we need it now, and why it can't wait. And oftentimes the funding source justification every single time we bring any position to be filled. So not all of them go forward. They get screened here at the university by admin council, and then we have to take them to the state for approval. I don't know if I answered all those questions, but the hiring freeze is still in effect. That hasn't changed. And probably the better word for it is it's more of a hiring slowdown than a freeze, because some positions are getting filled, but not across the board by any measure.
Okay. And same topic, has the state given any indication of when they will lift the hiring freeze or slow down?
Not that I am aware of. If they have done so, I haven't heard it.
Next question involves the Idaho Accelerator Center in particular. I have a question in regard to our general mission to educate students relating to the Idaho Accelerator Center. At the close of this summer, there will be no faculty working at the IAC and essentially no ISU students doing research there. What is the rationale to have a nuclear physics laboratory with no educational mission associated with the university?
I don't have an answer for that. First of all, I guess my thought is I don't know that I agree with the end premise that it has no affiliation with the university. So I'm not sure I can answer that question as posed. The Idaho Accelerator Center is one of our research centers. And I mean, I could go into an explanation of how research benefits education, benefits human knowledge, and why it's all tied into everything we do, but I don't think that was what the asker was trying to get to. If there's a concern regarding what the Accelerator Center is doing and how it's meeting the mission, I guess we could look into that. But I don't know if I have a better answer than that right now.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. I'll pull that question aside and we can address and see if there's anything else that we can answer.
Okay.
Next question, how is Idaho State working with our sister institutions in the state to collaborate and move the state of Idaho forward?
Well, I think, one of the things that I've known for a long time is that while a lot of people thought the universities were in competition when it came to the faculty level, all of our sister institutions, our faculty have always worked together and have been for years. So that's a positive. We're building on that and we're moving forward. The President's Leadership Council is now actively cooperating with one another. We're actively talking about how we're going to do things jointly in several ways. We're talking about joint academic programs. We're talking, for example, the cybersecurity degree that we're working on. We're working towards a joint statewide degree program that includes all of the community colleges and the four-year institutions to try to move forward. We're talking about how we can share services, how we can collaborate on some of the administrative functions that we all do and do them jointly to save costs and or get better prices in purchasing, for example, things like that, and how we can collaborate. So I think there are a lot of discussions now moving us in the positive direction, keeping in mind that that's not how it's always been. So some of these conversations are pretty new. And it's the first time they have been discussed, at least in recent memory. And so we're working on those things. We're about to, we're talking with the state about the State Board of Education about how we can all work together on these things, and I think moving in the right way.
Okay. Next question. We have been discussing a lot of heavy topics today. Do you have a positive thing that you want to share with us?
Well, yeah, there's probably several that I could share. It hasn't been, very many months of a lot of positive news in general. But at the end of the day, what has been really positive is some of the interaction I had just last week with some of our alumni. And our alumni were talking about their experience when they went to school and how much they enjoyed and how proud they are to be a graduate of Idaho State and how excited they were about our future. So whenever I meet with our alumni, whenever I meet with groups of our students who are excited about their future and where they're going and where they are in life, those are positives. A lot of the other meetings we do, they are heavy, weighty topics. They're difficult topics. There are job stressors. There are life stressors. But when you sit down and talk with a group of our students, you feel the positive energy, feel that energy about the future. And last week in particular, I met with some of our alumni, and they were so excited about the future and the future of the university and where we're going. That's exciting.
Okay. I think we're at the end of our questions here. Unless somebody has a final one, I think we'll wrap it up. I was unable to get the stream to YouTube, but this will be recorded and we'll get it up on isu.edu/town hall within 48 hours. So anybody who was unable to attend today can watch it at their leisure later. And then Kevin, I will just say thank you so much for joining us today for Coffee with Kevin, and I'll turn it back to you for conclusion.
Great. Well, thanks everybody for showing up and appreciate your questions. You know, it has been a difficult few months, and we face some potentially difficult times going forward. But again, we can face these together. We can accept the fact that everything won't be exactly the way it used to be, but we can make it good going forward if we all come together and do things because we're doing them for the right reasons to help further our mission. We're doing the right things to keep our campus safe and yet make sure that we can still provide an education to these students who are coming to us for their future. So although things might be difficult, although we do have these weighty topics, I'm excited about our future. I'm excited about what we can do together. I know the budgets are difficult. We've had difficult personnel decisions because of that. But as we come out on the other side of this pandemic, and we will come out the other side of this pandemic, we will be poised to be in the right place to move ourselves forward. And that's what I'm excited about. So thank you all for everything that you do. As I've been talking in these videos, when I say thank you for all you do, that isn't a drop-in line. I mean it. I know everybody's working through adversity right now, and I appreciate it, and I appreciate that it's moving us forward. So thanks. Thanks, Jenny, for moderating. I appreciate it, and thanks everybody again for showing up.